Hey y'all. Yeah, this is Naked and Unafraid, the basics of securing your nudes. I already got an awesome intro, so I'm not going to do that long of a bio, but like Summer said, I'm Allie. I'm a cloud operations engineer right now for InfoSite, and I also help out with Badass Army, which is a nonprofit that helps with victims of revenge porn. Other than that, I spend a lot of time on Twitter, so you may have seen me around there. But okay, let's get into it. So what is revenge porn? You may have heard the term revenge porn before, or you may have also heard of it referred to as non-consensual pornography. And it is exactly what it sounds like. It's the distribution of sexually explicit images without someone's consent. And it's pretty common. It might be more common than you think. The Cyber Civil Rights Initiative says that 1 in 8 American social media users experience revenge porn. There are a lot of different kinds of victims of revenge porn. Some are online sex workers. Some are people who sent the pictures to an intimate partner that they trusted. Some are victims of a sexual assault that was recorded. There's lots of different situations that go on. Some have been recorded without their knowledge, etc. But we already know this doesn't make it okay, right? You know, a lot of people say, well, don't take nudes if you don't want them spread around. And, it's an invalid argument because especially right now, we're in a pandemic. Everybody is connecting online, and that's where people are getting off too. Let's be honest. So I just wanted to make sure people are having fun and maintaining control over their media while staying safe. Cyber Civil Rights Initiative puts it perfectly when they say don't saying don't take nudes as a solution to revenge porn is equivalent to saying don't ride in cars to avoid being hit by a drunk driver. So we don't want to victim blame. We don't want to do that. We just want to learn how to proactively stay safe. The first thing I want to talk to y'all about is EXIF data. And basically all you need to know about it is it's essentially metadata that's attached to your photos. EXIF stands for Exchangeable Image File Format. There's a lot of info in EXIF data, right? Depending on what the device was taken from, you can tell that, you can tell the aperture, you can tell everything. And a lot of times these photos have GPS coordinates too. If anybody's watched You on Netflix, when Joe meets Glenn, one of the first things he does is throws a photo. This is not based off reality, right? It's TV logic, but he takes her photo, throws it into Google, and magically finds her address based off of that. And obviously, it's a little bit more of a process, but the gist is the same. It's still important to know that your location can be tied to your photos. So when I'm telling people how to proactively stay safe online while still having fun, the first thing I usually recommend is disabling geotagging on your phone. I have an iPhone, so that's where my demo comes from. But essentially, this is really easy to Google regardless of your phone OS. Essentially, you just need to turn off location permissions on your camera app. So wherever you do that on your mobile device is where you'll want to set this up. Next, I'm going to go into removing EXIF data. So on a mobile device, like I said, I have an iPhone, so I like using the Shortcuts app. And these are the steps I have. I'll publish these slides too, so you can reference them if you want. It's just a simple steps of automation to clear EXIF data on the Apple Shortcuts app. Another app I found is this EXIF metadata app that I recorded a demo for. So you can see I upload a picture of my cat from my old house, and you can see everything about it. You can see what kind of phone I have, my old address, everything. This allows me to remove it, and then just to show y'all, I uploaded it back into the app to show you that now it says no location available. Something to keep in mind is that where you're uploading your images to. If this is an app that I found on the Apple Store. So especially when you're talking about nudes and stuff, keep in mind where you're uploading your pictures to when you're doing this kind of thing. And then I wanted to be flexible, so I asked Twitter for some Android recommendations for apps and came up with EXIF Eraser, photo EXIF editor, and scrambled EXIF as some recommendations for Android mobile. Cool. So next, just because I gave this talk earlier where there was a CTF, I wanted to mention EXIF tool. It's a command on Linux. I've been in CTFs before where sometimes there's like a custom user-defined field, and sometimes there will be a CTF flag hidden in there or something. So yeah, just wanted to throw that tidbit out there. And you can also clear EXIF data with this tool. Probably won't be doing it for the sake of sending nudes, but you know, for CTFs and stuff like that, it might be useful. You just EXIF tool with this -all flag will do it, and that's what my EXIF data on this photo looks like afterwards. And then this is just something on the side that I wanted to mention. It's just a cool tool that Everest Pipkin wrote, and it's been published on Twitter a lot. A lot of people recommended it to me when I asked for Android tools. And it is pretty cool. Like I said, you have to keep in mind where you're uploading images to and stuff like that. But it's pretty cool because you can scrub your EXIF data from a picture, and it also has a blur tool. And you know, there's several different situations where you can use a blur tool, right? You know, blurring tattoos, stuff like that. I just did a dumb example to show you, but you can deduce on your own how this might be useful, right? So just wanted to throw that tool out there. It's pretty cool. Watermarking. So Rachel from Badass does this awesome watermarking demo. I'm gonna go ahead and play it while I talk so y'all can see. But basically she just adds the name of her photo recipient and makes it a really light color, and then she blends it into her photo. And notice that she blends it in a place where it can't be cropped out without making the photo look weird, and it will still show up if there's a different filter or someone edits the colors, kind of thing. And that's what you want to keep in mind while you're doing watermarks like this. You want it to be something that you can recognize that can't be edited out. And apps that we recommend for doing that is Pixelate and Photoshop Express. Any photo editing app should work. Photo storage. So I use KeepSafe, but before I talk about KeepSafe, I just, you know, be mindful of where your photos are being stored in general. I've seen victims get bit by Snapchat memories, for example, because it's something that you don't see every day and you don't realize that that's in your Snapchat if you go in there. But if someone is able to pop your Snapchat, they have all your content. So it's stuff like that that you need to keep in mind as far as what applications are you using that are storing your photos like that. KeepSafe is cool because it's password protected. You can set a PIN. You can organize your photos in here, upload photos here. I like it because you can delete photos from your camera roll once you put them in here. And so you can see how that might be useful for like storing something like nudes, right? You don't want to be going through your camera roll in front of everybody, showing all the nudes you have on your phone or whatever, right? So KeepSafe's a cool app. There's others too. Rachel from Badass had recommended, I believe, one on the Android side that I'll find and put in the channel in a minute. But yeah. Cool. So I'm going to move on to two-factor. Everybody here probably has already heard about how important two-factor is. I kind of wrote this talk for like a talk I could give to anybody, right? Like a non-technical audience or whatever. But so if anybody here that is watching that doesn't know, two-factor is when you're trying to sign in to something and it either texts your phone or you set up an authenticator app if you're being, you know, proactive about it. I use Duo. There's different authenticator apps out there like Authy and Google Authenticator, and I believe some password managers have it too. But point being, you know, use two-factor on any accounts where you can to avoid this kind of stuff. And also, if you are using SMS authentication, depending on your threat model and how proactive you want to be, you know, I would say use something like Google Voice or something that like can't be easily ported out, because that will save you from something like SIM jacking. If you're, you know, an online sex worker with thousands and thousands of followers, or someone with a really sophisticated stalker or whatever, it's just something that you might want to keep in mind. Next, I'm going to talk a little bit about online sex work. Like I said, it's a pandemic. people are bored. Everybody's still trying to get off, right? So I'm just going to talk about a few tips that I like to give to stay safe for online sex workers. So when you're setting up all your accounts, I recommend using like a sock account. You don't link anything back to yourself. Think about it like you're creating a brand new identity. Set up a new name. Don't use any of your real contact information, and be mindful of what information you're giving as like account recovery information. Like you may not want to give a recovery account that has your first and last name in it or something like that, right? Like I said before, enable two-factor on all the things where you can. And think of it like setting up a new identity. For social media, you need to try it. And this is, what the preface saying that this is if you care about your online sex work identity being connected back to you, or if you don't want people to find your real name or your address or something like that, right? So with that being said, don't use photos that are on social media, for example, that can possibly be thrown into Google search or whatever and be connected back to you or other people. If you have a photo with your friends in it, you may want to consider that. Heavily tattooed person here to remind you, be mindful of your tattoos and things like that. A photo may not have your face in it, but if you have very well-known tattoos that make it in it, it may be hard to dispute or whatever. I recommend don't ever tell your clients your real name, just for safety reasons, like I said. Tips for payment, obviously, just like any other information privacy tip, don't give people your bank account, don't give people your credit card numbers, don't do stuff like that. Use a payment platform where you can, but something to be mindful of is some payment platforms like PayPal, for example, if they find out that you're using it for sex work and it goes against their abuse policies, they will ban your account. So, use fake info on those things where you can, and just be mindful of what platform you're using and their rules. Another thing that I always like to remind people also regarding payment is if you're doing online sex work, get payment upfront, because I've seen people get their content stolen by providing something upfront and, then basically getting screwed over like that. Next thing I would say is definitely network where you can and talk about these things. If you manage to get into like a group chat or, a community of other online sex workers, that can be really useful for like, there's a circle of you that can report abusive accounts to each other, report creepy people that are doing abusive things and stuff like that, report tips, for staying safe together. Stuff like that. So I recommend that. And then the last thing I say is be proactive and Google yourself. If you really care, if you make a new identity, Google this new identity and see what comes up. Next thing I want to touch on real quick is revenge porn, blackmail, or sextortion scams is what you see them called a lot. I've seen tons of these messages. I got these two top ones here from John on Twitter. And they're basically always like this. Sometimes they'll have your password in there. So they usually have a Bitcoin wallet. They usually threaten to have some video of you getting off or whatever. The first thing I tell people for this kind of thing is relax. Breathe. Don't panic. Don't pay them any money. Don't respond to threats like this. A lot of the times these messages are like passwords that people got from a public password dump. It doesn't actually mean that someone hacked into your webcam and is watching you masturbate or whatever, right? So just keep that in mind. Don't respond to these things. Don't buy into it. Change all of your passwords. And don't, a lot of time, I've seen a couple of these lately also that have like a password and a ransomware link in there. So they'll say, oh, you don't believe me? Well, click this Google Drive link and it's actually a ransomware link or something like that. So, don't click anything like that to try and prove it. And if you're really, really worried that someone has some media of you that they're going to send to someone in your email address book or whatever, I would say contact people proactively and just say, hey, my email got hacked. You know, don't open any attachments that you get from any emails you don't know. My account's been hacked, you know. Cool. So what if my nudes do get leaked? Same advice I gave before. Relax and breathe. It can feel really shitty because it automatically kind of feels like you got caught doing something wrong or like something's your fault, but it's not. It's the fault of the person that's, you know, abusing this media. But next, you should collect all the evidence that you can. Take screenshots, save links, image file URLs, get all the poster information that you can, the date that this happened, what platform are your images shared on, what is the platform's abuse policies, do they already have a form to report copyright images, things like that to keep in mind. A lot of times if you go to law enforcement, they may or may not be like trained on how to respond to these things. So I also encourage looking up your state's revenge porn laws. The more information you're armed with when you if you try and pursue this in any legal way, the better off you'll be. And, you know, leading to saying you need to decide your desired outcome when these kinds of things happen. Some people just want the pictures taken down. They don't necessarily care to go to court or do legal things. They just want the pictures down. Some people do want to do a civil or criminal case, especially when this is a side effect of like cyber stalking or harassment or abuse of any kind. So just keep these things in mind. Cyber Civil Rights Initiative does have a crisis hotline. It's open 24/7, and you can call it if you're a victim of revenge porn and you're just freaking out and you need to talk to someone and maybe get some advice. I put the number on my slides, and like I said, I'll share these slides. You can also reach out to Badass Army. And there's one more website I wanted to mention called Heart Mom that helps people who are experiencing online harassment. And I'm running a little bit low on time, so I'm going to talk about DMCA really quick. So especially in the US, you own the media that you produce under your own agency or your own body. So you can file a DMCA request to get your copyright material removed. And that's how a lot of people go about getting their media taken off of a website. If your content has been posted and you're looking to pursue any kind of legal action, you don't want to do this yet. And it sucks, but you should leave your content online for preservation of evidence if you're going to pursue a legal action kind of scenario. But if you just want the content taken down or whatever, you know, you need to find your website or their ISPA where the content's been posted, the DMCA agent for there, and then you need to file a DMCA request. And there's a few ways you can do it. There's paid services that will do it for you. And there is also like, I know there's a website called CopyBite that you can do it for free through. And also Badass Army can help do this. You know, we have a group where we share resources and stuff like that. And also something to keep in mind is that sites are required to forward the DMCA takedown notice to the uploader. So whatever information you give on the DMCA takedown notice is going to be present to your uploader. So if you don't want them to have your name, your address, your email, use burner information where you can. But you might want to use the same, you know, if your real name is on your post, you might as well use your real name kind of thing. And yeah, that's pretty much all I have to say about this. Let me know if y'all have any questions. And yeah, like I said, badassarmy.org and cybercivilrights.org are two really good resources. My DMs are open on Twitter, and yeah.
We got about 5 minutes left. We did have Lurk. He posted a statement here. One tip I give friends who ask me how to send their SO nudes, use signal.io. And if they end up online or leaked, own that it is you. If you kick and yell over, the situation will devolve. If you own it, the abuser attacker will move on. Fair advice? Question mark.
Yeah, I mean, I would say that's fair advice. I mean, obviously it depends on the situation and how determined the poster is to do this kind of thing, right? But in general, yeah, I would say that's why I bring it up during like sextortion emails, saying like don't reply and stuff, because you know if you don't feed into it, they don't have power over you. So in that respect, yeah, I agree with what you say.
Looks like he's typing a response, so we'll give him a few minutes since we have some time left. And if anyone wants to ask questions, go ahead and post them in track 3 on Discord.
Yeah.
Looks like we have a few people typing.
Thanks, y'all. Yeah, and if you have any like private feedback or private questions, my DMs are open. You can hit me up on the side and we can talk about it or whatever.
Great. Okay. I'll leave you to answer the questions in track 3. Thank you very much
Cool. Thank
for
you.
presenting.